A jihadi lunatic stabbed Sir David Amess MP to death 3 years ago today. Well, I'm sorry to say that we've learnt nothing. Ali Harbi Ali slaughtered an MP because he was an Islamist who supported Islamic State, and yet our MPs wanted to make it all about social media. They wanted David's law to cut down on social media abuse. Well, look, hey, why don't we just cut down on jihadis instead? The head of MI5 has just warned us that Al-Qaeda and ISIS are on the rise again in Britain.
We've seen appalling loss of life in Gaza and now Lebanon, and conflict spiralling in the wider region, with all the implications that brings for Middle Eastern and UK security. Today we are powerfully alive to the risk that events in the Middle East directly trigger terrorist action in the UK. I'll finish here with the terrorist trend that concerns me most: the worsening threat from Al-Qaeda, and in particular from Islamic State.
Ex-Tory MP Mike Freer, who had to wear a stab vest at all times, stood down because he didn't want to be killed. We see open support for terrorist groups every single weekend, pretty much, on the streets.
The only solution is jihad by the armies of the Muslim countries. Not by you, me, or we. What training do I have? There are people with arms in Egypt, in Pakistan, in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, across the Muslim world.
Our own police force apparently aren't educated enough to know what a terrorist group is.
So they were mourning leader of terrorist organizations.
Your opinion is up to you,
Well,
but
Hezbollah is legally a terrorist organization.
again, sir, your opinion is your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. It's opinion of the government.
Okay, well,
And
we're not allowed to take opinions.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We're not allowed
We
to
don't take opinions.
It's not an
so
opinion.
We're just here.
It's not an opinion. It's a...
That's your opinion, that it's
It's
not
a
an
legal
opinion,
fact.
okay?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, what chance have we got, really? But anyway, you look on, don't you, and you see attacks in Europe, like in Songam, where at a festival of diversity, ironically, a 26-year-old Syrian asylum seeker stabbed 3 people to death. And we say, apparently, we want more of that.
Englishman, Nigel Pasa, don't talk about me. You not know me. I come to England because I want to marry with your sister. Don't talk about me more. I gonna come to England. I gonna mother.
Yeah, couldn't really be clearer there, could he? Just in case the Kalashnikov on his cheek didn't give it away. Later on in this show, we've got a bombshell new video, for want of a better phrase, from our friend Mudapasa, who is claiming to be in England and wanting to meet with Nigel. It'll be interesting to see whether or not the Home Office or indeed the police bother to respond to us on that one. But anyway, right this moment, that gun-loving illegal migrant, as I said, is telling the world that he is currently in England and wanting to meet Nigel. Our former Home Secretary, James Cleverly, he released this festive video last year. Happy Christmas, everyone. Don't get blown up by a jihadi.
The message we're saying is that if people see something, if they're worried about something, if something doesn't look right, go with your instincts, contact the police. They're here to help, and they're here to make sure everyone can enjoy Christmas in safety and security.
Christmas market there, done the old-fashioned way. Anyway, we've foiled more than 20 Iran-backed plots in Britain recently, yet we allow Iran to send radical hate preachers to an Islamic centre in London, which is accused of being Iran's nerve centre. We keep teaching kids how bad British history is and how we are the font of all evil. Then we wonder why 1 in 10 18 to 24-year-olds support Hamas. We've got votes in Parliament, haven't we, being dismantled simply because terrorists might attack MPs.
I will do whatever it is to protect anybody in this chamber or anybody who works in this house. That is my duty of care.
Yeah, I mean, I would politely ask what your duty of care to us is, because we're the ones as well who have to live amongst all of it, aren't we? But anyway, I have a theory, actually, as to why politicians don't want to address the Islamist terror threat, even when one of their own, sadly, is killed by it. Because they'd have to admit that they let the problem in, and they allowed it to stay here. Let's get thoughts of my panel. We've got writer and broadcaster Emma Webb. We've got the director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity, Stephen Wolfe, and ex-Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Emma, do you think we've learned anything 3 years on from the Islamist slaughter of David Amess?
No. No, I mean, we've seen even in the last general election campaign, particularly Labour MPs, being harassed by people who don't believe in the democratic system. This has been an ongoing problem. You mentioned there Mike Freer. I mean, this goes back a long way, but people have even forgotten about people like Stephen Timms, I think it was, who was stabbed, not fatally, luckily, by an Islamist. What about, you know, the memory of PC Palmer, who was murdered outside of Parliament? So, no, I don't think that we've learned anything from this. And actually, the footage that you showed there of the police not knowing that Hezbollah are a terrorist organisation. I mean, how you can expect the police to be able to pull up people who are carrying things like, you know, shouting slogans in Arabic or carrying placards that have terrorist implications. I mean, one of the pieces of footage you showed there was of the Islamist organisation Hizb ut-Tahrir. And actually, at the time, the police came out and they said, oh, well, jihad can have multiple meanings, implying that in this context, it meant spiritual jihad rather than armed revolution. So it's not even that we haven't learned anything. It's that things have gotten worse. And when I was watching back on some of the footage earlier today from the time when David Amos was murdered, and you mentioned there yourself the fact that everybody immediately started talking about social media. Even at the time in the mainstream media, nobody mentioned Islamism. It was so few and far between that anybody was willing to actually name what the threat actually was.
It was hurty words on social media again. You know, I want to believe that those police officers that think that jihad has got multiple meanings or refuse to accept that Hezbollah are a terror group are lying and not, in fact, thick as mints, because it's one of the two, isn't it? And it depresses me to think that it might, in fact, be the latter. Stephen, this Islamist threat that we've got here now, you know, James Cleverly there, happy Christmas, everyone. When you're at this Christmas market and, you're having your big German sausage there and you're out buying gifts for your family and friends, try not to get blown up by a jihadi. Why do we have to live like this?
Why do we have to live like this? Is because those in power, those running our lives, those controlling the police, the security services, live in ignorant bliss of their own world, secure and safe, knowing that they can live in big houses, have really, really good pensions to protect themselves, and don't have to live amongst the rest of us on the whole. I know that from my own experience of seeing what it's like when you live in the European Parliament, protected by lovely cars, getting a gift to go and see Taylor Swift for 10 minutes. That's the type of politician that we currently have in the new crop. And I'm not disagreeing with Bill. It was a different world we were talking about. There were genuinely politicians who cared about where we were even a decade ago. But I don't think they do now. I think they're living deliberately and intentionally allowing this to happen because they're too scared and too weak to do anything about it.
I see you shaking your head. I do want to put to you, just further on from what Stephen said there, about this notion that maybe politicians don't necessarily care too much about the rest of us. This is a new clip from today, which is our mate Majapasa, who has been documenting his trip across Europe. There's some contention about whether or not this chap has made it into England. We played a clip of it yesterday, which showed that he was been threatening to kill Nigel Farage, and he's got a Kalashnikov tattoo there, and he's been doing all the gun symbols and all of that. So anyway, he's obviously been watching the stuff that's been going out about him, and today he released this.
I am in England and would be happy to meet you if you want, so you can see me in real life and explain to you who I am.
So we'll play you the full version of that video at 10 p.m. But Bill, I mean, if that guy's managed to make it to Britain, there's a compelling case to the fact that our politicians do not give a toss about our safety.
Do you know, I really don't think that is true. You say this isn't taken on and tackled by politicians. 17 years ago, as Higher Education Minister, I launched the guidance to universities about tackling violent extremism. And the most explicit threat within that was extreme Islamist violence. And we were explicit about that. Now, it's not just Islamist violence. You know, we had Joe Cox, who was killed by a far-right terrorist. We had David Amos, who was tragically killed by an Islamist extremist. You know, I only felt threatened once in 13 years as a Member of Parliament. It's now an every week occurrence for our MPs, and it's utterly unacceptable.
But this is why I said there was a difference between the time that you were in charge and what I see, particularly over the last 10 years. this kind of recalcitrance from them. They're too concerned about saying we're going to oppose illegal immigration, we're going to actually do something about it. I just fear that because there's so many of them, people have now come in from different countries, that they constitute a large voting bloc. They don't want to upset them.
Stephen, I really don't think that's true. You know, 5 Labour MPs lost their seats at the general election because they were taking on the arguments put forward by extreme Islamists. And across government, and, you know, in the previous Tory government and in this government, there's enormous time and resources that go, for example, into the prevent strategy to tackle this stuff.
Yeah, one of them lost his seat to a chap who had to fend off accusations that he was very, very close indeed with the man who was actually then arrested for terror offences during that campaign, which just, I think, slightly it paints a certain picture of the kind of individuals that were maybe standing in some of those seats. But do you feel as though our politicians just don't want to front up to it, and because they feel like they'd have to take some accountability? Do you think?
I think part of it is it's almost become age old now that the same people who say Islamism and Islam are not the same thing are the same people who constantly conflate the two and accuse people of Islamophobia when they are trying to stand up against Islamism. And so even you have situations like you saw the interview recently of Robert Jemrick on Sky News with Kay Burley, who's constantly pressing on why he thought it was appropriate to wear a T-shirt that said Hamas are terrorists, which is the law of this country. He kept saying it over and over again, and she kept pressing on him on why is it appropriate? Why is it appropriate? As if it's offensive. Yeah. Offensive to who? Hamas. Offensive to the community of Islamists and terrorists that are in this country. So I think part of it is that people feel that it is insensitive. They're afraid of being called Islamophobic. There are many, many cases where and examples of people being afraid to call things out that they should have called out because they were frightened of being accused of some kind of racism.
Where I live, there is quite a big Iranian community. And that is mostly people who came here decades ago and then relatives subsequently, etc. And I get stopped in the street. Believe it or not, quite a lot of them are GB News viewers, so hello, everyone. But, they say to me, what the heck are you doing in this country? You've allowed the people that we fled from, you're allowing in. Yeah. They think we're mental.
But look, you've got a really difficult problem here because both Hamas and Hezbollah are terrorist organisations and they are proscribed. And anyone who actively participates in their activities, undoubtedly the full force of the law can be used against them. But when you've got hundreds of thousands of young people, of a minority of Muslim communities, or people on the far left,
or 1 in 10
who in a lukewarm sense say they support Hamas or Hezbollah, you know, if you locked all of those up, you'd be locking up hundreds of thousands of people.
But we are willing to have it. 1 in 10 18 to 24-year-olds. This is survey taken, 3 years on from the death of David Ames. 1 in 10 18 to 24-year-olds in this country support Hamas.
Abhorrent and wrong.
It is abhorrent and wrong.
How's it happen?
Is it not an obvious correlation that as we've allowed large-scale migrants to come in with a different religion, different culture from all different parts of the world in the huge numbers that we have, that we've seen an increase of wanting to pulling down our statutes. We've seen an increase in 1 in 10 people supporting Hamas. We've seen huge numbers of people opposing the Jewish and Israeli communities on our streets in London. And at the same time, we have the leaders of our police ignoring the law of this land over things such as...
But you see, that police video, I think, was a distortion. And, you know, hold on. Too often, people take video footage of people and take it out of context. I'll give you a personal example. I was canvassing about 6 months ago, knocked on a door, someone extremely concerned about what was happening in Gaza, and the daughter behind started photographing me. And I said, excuse me, what are you doing that for? She said, it's my human right. I said, it's my right to walk away. And that could have been used, clipped.
But there is no context that explains what they're saying in that video that explains that away, because they are saying to him, very straightforwardly, it is your opinion that Hezbollah are a terrorist organisation. They don't even know in that video.
And I think you've got young, inexperienced police officers who need better training.
Memorialised.
Thank you very much.